Welcome to this Pick a Pile rune reading. The energy and the calling of this reading was to deliver messages from the spiral. A beginning and an ending, a continuation, moments of change, moments of stability. This energy has been very strong with me for a considerable amount of time. And the space that I was looking for to do this reading is right here. It just called to me, in part because we can see the evidence of the ending of life, the beginning of life, the continuance, and the way that we link and bridge the energy of life. So in a moment, I will get set up and I will show you the objects to choose from. So 1 second. Okay, so we have the circle opened. The energy is ready to come through. The items that you will be selecting from are in the center here. These 3 shells. They are shells of the turban snail. They are called Shiva Eye because they bring in the energy of the spiral. And that is why they wanted to play in this reading to help deliver the messages at the time you are finding this reading. So because they are from a snail, we want to thank the energy, the life that these creatures had. You know, the color variations on the spirals has a lot to do with the diet. So everything that supported their life and the legacy that they left behind in these shells, that we might then connect with the energy and apply it to our life in a meaningful way. All of this is to say that the backside does also look different, and so I will be flipping them here so that in case that component is what speaks to you, you have access to it. And should you need more time with the other side, feel free to pause the video and go back. That is the beauty of asynchronous connection. Okay, we will start with them. 1, 2, and 3. I will include timestamps in the description box, so feel free to go to whichever reading or readings are calling to you. See you soon. Welcome to those of you who chose the first option, and the first message that was coming through loud and clear as I was getting ready to begin the recording. My inclination was to move the shell because you can't see the spiral from this angle. And yet, all I did was bring my hand close, affecting the lighting, and the spiral became visible. So I didn't move it because that is part of the message for you. The things that are working, the things that are happening for you with the energy of the spiral right now, there really is a sense already in the very beginning of this message that perspective is going to be key, and understanding that your interaction with the environment is part of what is going to help you see or experience different components of the resources around you. So that is the very first thing coming through for you guys with your little shell, but I do want to also give you a quick view on this side in case for those of you who are in particular very visual, there is something about the patterning of this side of the shell that will mean something to you. And there's a close-up of the beautiful, beautiful spiral. Okay, so the very next thing that is happening, actually this is so beautiful, you guys. Right here in the center you have Dagas. We're talking about transitions, the moments of dawn, the moments of dusk when we're bringing in a new day. And down here at the bottom we have Sawelo, so we've also got pure sun energy. And the alignment of them is really, really important as well. But the configuration here for you guys, there's a lot going on in the way. Do you see how everything fell kind of in layers? We've got Algas with protection and grounding. We've got Tiwas with a sense of balance and justice, a sense of understanding the role of give and take, for what purpose and to what end, sitting right here, suggesting the same type of motion with the direction of the arrow, all pointing into this transition energy. Now, on the surface level, if we continue and we follow that through, over here on the edge, we have Rido, and right here, Gabo. I don't always see the specifics of which runes I'm looking at until I get to them. So the fact that we have Gabo on its own sitting here when I was talking about that give and take energy is coming through on its own very strongly. In fact, one of the things that is important to say at this point is that because of the way that Gabo is sitting right next to Dagas, you can even see the inherent shape of Gabo sitting within Dagas. And as that message is coming through, I'm also being led to talk about the importance of the direction of the arrows pointing inwards towards each other, a sense of focus, a sense of making decisions and choices from an empowered state, from a state that is going to help move you in a meaningful way, not necessarily always an easy way or the way that is the most fun, but really when you get down to it and you ask yourself on a very deep level, where is the meaning in this? Where am I going to grow? What is going to be the greatest catalyst for me in this experience, in the spiral energy? And so because of the arrow energy of both Algas and Tiwas bleeding into Dagas and then coming out at Gabo, all of that feels very significant for this particular reading. That is energy that, should you choose to pay attention to, I'm getting the feeling it could be very, very helpful for you in whatever you are contemplating right now in your life. Next, I believe I mentioned Rido earlier, but Rido is about movement. So this is once we are making this decision about coming to a center, coming to balance and harmony, and understanding how we are shifting our energy and what direction we are going, this is where Rido is coming in, and it is saying that movement is the other important aspect, right? If you stay in one place, you don't ever get the spiral energy. So the movement is key. And coming back to the top then, we actually have the representation of Yggdrasil, the tree of life. And I just want to point out for your reading where I decided to start this reading, the space I was looking for. We very much are looking at nursery logs, the continuation of life, the tree energy, resurrection, rebirth, moving forward. All of those thoughts and feelings were coming through very strongly as I was looking at the trees. And so those messages, tree energy is something to pay attention to, is the feeling I'm getting for you guys. with this rune coming out here. So now we are going to go a layer deeper. We're going to start looking at what is underneath this opening set of information. The birds are very active today, and I was just checking to see who was hanging out next to me, but oh, look at that. Okay. So underneath balance and protection. So this is like guided security. This is like when you move from a central place of empowerment, it's a feeling that the direction you're moving, there is a sureness to it. There is comfort in what you're moving towards, what you're moving away from, what you are dancing with, the exchange behind it. Underneath it is Perthro. So this is all about the energy of taking a risk, of stepping into something that you don't know the outcomes of. You may have an idea of what the possibility is. You may have a feeling of what could be. And there's a reason then that you're invested in taking that risk or taking that chance or making a left turn instead of a right on your way to your destination. That's what Perthro is all about. It's about that energy of we're taking a chance, we're moving forward, we don't know the outcome, and in not knowing the outcome is where the beauty is. That's where the energy is. So sitting right underneath this energy of directionality is the energy of potential, of what could be. So that's very significant, I feel. And sitting at the base of all of this is Fehu. So we are now talking about resources. We are talking about the structures and the things that we would need on these journeys in order to make them accessible. And it's really, I'm getting the feeling that the resource and the accessibility is you. It's almost the feeling of like the Midas touch, right? So you are the magic that holds it together. You are the magic that's going to activate it. And it's in understanding this balance and this central point that I was getting with Dagas. It really is a beautiful energy of flow. Okay. So underneath Gebo, we do have Hagalaz. So Hagalaz really, for me, always is an energy of restricted emotions. It really is an energy of what are we letting go of in order to create new, right? Because hail is a very destructive force, and yet it's only destructive when it is frozen, when it is restricted. But in that sense, that is part of its power. That is what helps it move with such precision and direction. And it just depends on what side of that you are on. The words just really got complicated in my mind, so apologies for that. Everything was flowing so nicely, and then we started talking about the hail energy and things got a little discombobulated. But the sense or the feeling behind Hagalaz is that you are multiple things at the same time, and it's in that choice. So when you need the resolve, when you need to be a little stiffer and have a little more staying power, this is when the hail energy is going to be helpful. It's going to help you destroy or break down the things that are feeling like obstacles for the path or direction that you're wanting to go. And the beauty of hail is that it can then soften. Okay, so in true fashion, I always am taking in the information around me as part of the reading, not just the images that come through. I, at that moment, had to pause the video. I didn't have to, but I chose to pause the video because there were other people coming through, and so I wanted to respect the space. When I paused the video, it was at 11 minutes and 11 seconds into the recording for this reading. So we were just talking about breaking down or beginning new, that transition energy of being able to embrace or become what you need to be in order to either be the strong force of the hail or the soft force of the water to nourish and replenish and rebuild. So that came in with the 1111 gateway energy beginnings. So really, guys, it's so much about your intention right now. Oh, and then underneath Hagalas, we have Berkana, absolutely nurturing energy. The birch, the white woman of the woods, the white, the purity, when you are really calling into yourself, the ability to flow and nurture and nourish and replenish. That is the energy sitting under it. So it's giving me a sense that, like, in the movement, it's a process, and in the process is how things are going to unfold. And this was sitting at the base, meaning that this is going to be such a beautiful foundational energy for all of the things that are happening above it. That's really, really, really refreshing, is what it feels like. Now, as we come down to look at the final pieces of this particular reading, we have Nauthiz and we have Laguz. So Nauthiz is definitely and absolutely about necessity. It is about what needs to happen or what needs to be considered, the way one needs to act, the way our path is set but our choices are not, that kind of idea. So yep, that's what's coming through on that one. Not super long into the energy of Nauthiz, but taking an assessment or taking a step back to look at, what do you need? What is at the base of your motivations? What is at the base of your actions? What is at the base of your inspiration, your fear, you can put whatever words behind it for the energy that you're working with right now, but go to the base. What's the need? What's the core component sitting at the bottom of it? Laguz is a lot of our third eye energy. And this, so tapping into our intuition, making sure that we are paying attention to the things that absolutely resonate with us. That's what this energy is bringing forth. And final note for your reading, we're going to take a look on this side. Okay, so we have two runes that kind of fell on their side. And when they do this, for me, every person engages with them differently. When they sit on their side like that, it indicates to me that it is energy that is easy to access from one direction, but a little more challenging to access from another direction. And this energy that's going to feel a little harder to grasp for you at this time, the time of you watching this reading, as suggested by these being on their side, Manas and Othala. So this is about human connection. This is about foundations and legacy. So in all of these pieces here that we are working with, there is something about it in your work with the spiral and the energy of that is asking you to contemplate a little deeper. That's the feeling I'm getting, is to really just reflect on and contemplate deeper what your overall connection with your community, your city, your state, your country, there's some level of kinship that is feeling a little challenging right now, and a sense of what you are doing, what you are building, what you are creating. Those are the type of energies that are going to be a little bit more challenging at this turn in the spiral energy for you. So that's what I have for your reading. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I want to thank the shell, I want to thank the runes, the crystals, and nature. I want to thank you. I am wishing you well, and I look forward to seeing you at future readings. Okay, and welcome to those of you who chose the second option. This is a close-up of the spiral on your particular shell and the back side. So, the message coming through for you with your spiral energy and what spiral energy can help you with, or insights or directions that working with this type of energy can offer you at this time. We have a lot going on here in terms of the concentration and the layering. So the first thing that's coming to mind is Kenaz is sitting out here opposite of Algaz. So there is something about the energy of your internal fire, your compass, your light or guiding force, and the sense of being protected or grounded and safe. They are sitting at the opposite ends of it, and as I was talking about them, I ended up shifting Ansu's a little bit. So Ansu's is communication energy, right? This is about how we communicate in all of our forms. Communication is not just language, it is not just sound, it is not just body movement, it is so many things. And so there is a feeling that the way you are communicating what lights you up and what makes you feel safe, what inspires you and motivates you, and what makes you feel good and secure, this type of energy, there's something about the way you're communicating or expressing that is important about connecting with the energy of the spiral. And there's a lot of busyness going on in my head right now as I'm pulling through this reading. So there is the importance of that for what we're doing in this space, really is a sense or an understanding that in those moments when that happens, there can be a choice of pushing through and continuing, or taking a moment to acknowledge the activity. The first word I was going to say was noise, but it's not noise, it's activity. And there's something with the Kenaz energy, this activity, it's fire, right? We're moving with that element. And so in the form of thoughts in the mental body can feel like overthinking. It can feel like the distracted mind. And this activity, the feeling or the sense of it, is just a reminder that part of you grounding into feeling safe, being connected, really, when you feel the activity being at a level that is more than you are comfortable with, you are in control, you are in power to say, just a moment, and maybe take a deep breath and say things of gratitude. Thank you, thoughts. Thank you, feelings. Thank you, anything that's coming in that's feeling like it is too much, like it's a whirlwind, like it's pulling you and swirling and moving and it's beyond your control. It's really a feeling of acknowledging it and being grateful for it, understanding that it really ties into creative energy. I don't want to spend 1,000 years talking about the energy coming through in those first 3 runes, but that is the core feeling behind it. Because of the creative energy, Uruz is also coming to mind. I don't know if Uruz will be in the reading, but this creation energy is really going to be an area that will be prime for you to be working with. And just again, remembering that you call the shots, you're in control of your mental body, of your energetic body. And so in those moments when it feels beyond, when it feels overwhelming, you get to call it back. You get to bring it back into a space, a movement, whatever words are comfortable for you, however you connect with that sense. You're in the driver's seat. So that's what's coming through in the beginning here. Now, the next thing that I'm being drawn to, actually, we have Ingwaz and Isa sitting in the center. So Ingwaz is our, and Berkana is right there. Okay. So Ingwaz is our seed energy, about new beginnings, about when you take Kenaz and you flip it in on itself, do you see we've got the fire radiating in a central point, and in that sphere, in that spiral, in the movement of that is when we start to get new life. Little pine cones. We are in winter, moving into winter up here where I'm at. So the seed, it's an energy, it's a reminder that what you plant is important. What you cultivate is important. That's the energy coming through with that. So Isa is about sureness. It is about sticking to a plan. It is about resolve in some capacity, but it's also about understanding that limitations can be your strength. In understanding, it's a concept of if things are flowing too much, if there is too much overwhelm, slowing it down, cooling it off a little bit, opposite of our fire energy, cooling it off, water, will slow it down and turn it into ice. And this is what Isa is coming through. It's a sureness type of energy. Berkana is our nurturing energy. So it really is feeling like a reminder. The message coming through is a reminder that getting caught in the movement of the spiral does not have to be scary. It can be joyful and nurturing, and that choice of how to experience it in large part comes down to you and how you are choosing to communicate and express yourself. And now the important thing that's coming through as well is not just the way you communicate with others, while that is very important, the way that you communicate with yourself is also really key. So underneath the set that we just talked about, we have Yera. So this is about timing. This is the long cycles. This is about knowing when to harvest, when to build upon, to collect the reward, to move into the next season, right? So in harvest season, you're often making choices about what is for consumption now, what are seeds that we are going to save for future, and what are we going to do with the matter and material that we are not using. We are composting it, we are giving it back, we are using it to nurture what we are building going forward. So that's the kind of energy sitting on the layer down below that. And in the center at the very bottom of it, we have Perthro, Nauthas, and Ehwaz. Okay, so this is about moving into the realm of the unknown. Things that we don't know can feel scary, but they can also feel hopeful. This is where hope lives, right? When we don't know, we can hope that something can be different. And when we hold on to hope and we harness it in a way that is applicable, when we learn how to communicate where we find hope and how we find hope, it helps connect us to others. It helps connect us to ourselves. And that's the feeling coming through with Perthro sitting here. Nauthas and Ehwaz, so the need, the connection, the reminder that there are lessons that we are learning in this lifetime. There is a string that connects us. There is purpose and direction, even if we don't always understand it ourselves or at the time it is happening. Again, spiral energy movement, things come around, they feel familiar, but not exactly the same. Why are we learning the same lesson? What is the new element or context of it that we are learning that we did not learn last time? How is it refining you? How is it building you into the more magnificent version of yourself than you were when you were just a few steps away, a different level, a different experience or transition of that energy of self? That was a lot of words, but that's the flow and that's how it was feeling, so that's how I delivered it. And Ehwaz coming out is absolutely a reminder to connect to your guides. Horse energy, iconography is going to be particularly important, though it is not specifically tied to the culture and heritage of this. Pegasus came through, so there is something about winged horses, winged flight of this energy. For some of you in this reading is the feeling I'm getting. And then at the very bottom of this group, we have Hagalaz. So Hagalaz is beautiful, and I love that it's sitting at the base of what we just looked at, because on the top layer we had Issa, and then we talked about the harvest energy, making plans and transitions, understanding the timing, and Hagalaz is about destruction and creation, destruction and nurturing. It is hail energy. So it's about what can we do when we, again, back to what I was talking about with the ice, we slow it down, we add a little bit of form, and in that form it gives us a different way to interact with our emotions, very specifically, because both of these tie in with water. So also I'm being drawn to the overall pattern. We started with a lot of fire and air, fire and mind. Then we moved into earth and water, and moving back into mind and earth. So there is even some sort of interconnection or transition within the elements for you. At the very bottom, also your reading has a lot of runes that flipped. Of the 24 that are in this particular set that I use, all of them flipped except for 7. So in that aspect, the number 7 may be of importance to you. But we have right here in this section Tiwaz and Fehu. So there's something about a balancing of resources, understanding the give and take, the flow of resources. And Gabo is sitting at the edge of this as well, and that very specifically is about reciprocity, give and take, gifting, fair exchange, and justice is Tiwaz. So really about balance energy, and it's leading into Fehu, which is about resources. And underneath Fehu is Dagas, so we're talking about transitions. So there it is. Longer cycle transitions with Yara, shorter cycle transitions with Dagas. And again, with the beginning of this reading, feeling so much about overwhelm and activity in the mind. For me, as the translator of this, there really is a sense of scaling up and scaling down, zooming in and zooming out, being able to walk the differences, the path, the variety. And so balancing it, or being able to understand ways in which you can navigate or change the tempo, is kind of the feeling that is coming through. The final three for this reading, we have Manas, Othala, and Rido. So your connection with your fellow humans, with mankind, but also Manas has within it Wunjo, reflected upon itself. And so in this particular reading, Manas really is coming through as that energy for me, that when you find your joy, it sparks the reflection of joy in others. So in all of this activity and this movement, this dance between stillness and activity, the dance between observing and seeing everything and taking action and making the choice on how to express it, what to plant, what to grow, what to harvest, when and where, all of the details, the beautiful details that help us incite action and to help us build. Othala is the energy of building and legacy and inheritance. Is this energy of the reflection of joy. So they're returning to your joy, returning to your source and your sense of what brings you pleasure, what activates a smile, not only on your face, but in your heart, maybe more importantly within your heart. What makes your heart smile? What makes your soul sing? Those are the things to move towards. That is how you find direction and movement, is by looking for that reflection of joy, understanding it within self, but then also how it calls and responds to you externally with those around you. So that is what I have for your reading. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank the runes. I want to thank our shell friend and the energy of the spiral for all of the things that it teaches us. I am wishing you well, and I hope to see you again soon. Okay, welcome to those of you who chose option 3. And this set of readings has come out in a very interesting way, with decisions about how to place the item of connection at the beginning of each reading. So this is your shell. I will show you the backside at the end when we've done the reading, because for yours, I felt like she needed to be placed in the center. So, right from the beginning for you guys, we have Manas, Othala, and Perthro sitting right there on the edge of the spiral. And I just want to point out that, so we're sitting in the center point of the spiral, and that is the place where we had the runes that faced up actually touching. So there's something about being in the center of the energy before it spirals out that is going to have a lot of the meaning for you. So being in it, being in the moment, in the energy, in the feelings, whatever they are, from any range of frustration, happiness, bliss, overwhelm, rage, disappointment, being ecstatic, feeling boundlessly hopeful, whatever those energies are, it's feeling very tight and at the core for you guys. So paying attention to that and understanding that there is a certain element of like being concentrated that is coming through for you. So understand that there is a type of potency almost in whatever it is that you're working with right now. So on the top, we have We have Perthro. This is about taking opportunities and turning them into what you are seeking. It's about taking a risk. It's about a gamble. It's about the unknown. And it's about moving with that energy despite, or maybe in fact, because you don't know the outcome, right? There's a little sense of joy in it. Like gambling, when we think about that, there's a reason that it has an appeal. So sometimes not knowing the outcome is what drives you, is what activates you to do something or move in a certain energy. And so being aware of that energy, that potentiality is coming through is very important in the beginning for you guys. Following it is Othala. So there's an understanding that the foundations you build, what you are creating, comes out of making decisions with this energy of taking a risk. So I'm getting the feeling that you guys in particular that were drawn to this reading are very good at responding to your environment, are very good at responding to the things, people, places, events, energy, etc. that you come into contact with. And at the bottom is Manez. So Manez is about humanity, right? So there, for you, it really feels like a lot of this energy, you're a people person, is what it feels like. I'll be very direct and very honest. You get really, really charged from being around others and working with others. That is the sense, that's the feeling I'm getting. Again, this is a general reading, so it may not apply to everyone. If it doesn't resonate, please do not make it fit, just so that it can resonate. Sitting here on the bottom curve of this spiral, we have Laguz and we have the energy of the world tree. So the depths of reflection, lake, water energy, nurturing energy, and tree energy. So, and I'm just going to point out real quick. So with Laguz, we have the top and coming down. So we've got a single direction, and with our tree energy, we get the reflection as above, so below. So, and here we have the reflection of as within, so without. So this spiral energy for you guys, it feels like the power in, I was just talking about like being able to resonate, not, I said resonance, but being able to respond to the people, places, and situations around you. So this process of reflecting is really something that is helpful for you. And as this reading is coming with a message from the energy of the spiral, of going around and around and around again, there is a feeling of take care to not get lost in the reflection of others. So while it is an energy that feels very rejuvenating to you, to also be aware of when that energy is yours and when you are taking on someone else's energy. That's the feeling that is coming through with those two coming out next on the bottom side as we swing around. Now, it leads into Yera and then Sewelo, and then out here on the edge, Kenaz. So Yera is about long cycles. It is about knowing when to act. So with the spiral energy and with looking at this concept of going around again and again and again and again, not exactly the same, but similar and familiar, and yet different enough that it incites change, it incites difference. That's where this concept of long-term cycles is coming in. And with Othala, with this idea of foundations, this really is feeling like there's some sort of commitment, some sort of time commitment, some sort of commitment to an idea or self, rather than the energy of flitting or moving, transitioning from one person, place to another, because that energy feels easier for those of you who chose this reading. So this energy with Athala and then Yara coming out is feeling like, remember too that there is power in having more of a long-term goal, more of a long-term objective, a bigger picture, or something that is going to really connect the thread through all of it. And as I was saying those words, I have the sunlight shifted, and my attention was drawn up to the sky, and a bald eagle was flying over. So for those of you at this reading, a bald eagle energy as a guide could be something that is significant for you. I say it because that is paramount in a lot of the readings I do. I come out to nature to do them because I want the environment to interact with me. It is part of how I feel like the messages are delivered more appropriately. And so, bald eagle came through for you guys at that moment, as we were talking about the thread that connects everything, having the ability to see a longer term plan, to see, not the shell when it was a little baby, but the shell as an adult when the spiral was visible. It's this kind of a thing. So Sawelo and Kenaz were the next two. Sawelo is sun. This is about victory, the dawning of a new day. This is energy of solar plexus. This is definitely your I am presence. And next to it we had Kenaz. Kenaz is our personal torch. This is the energy that guides us internally. Your personal power, your personal fire. So the fire energy is really feeling like what I was picking up on earlier when I was the movement of it all that I was feeling. That's where this energy is coming through strongest. But there is an ability, it feels like, for those of you who are drawn to this reading, it feels like you have an innate ability to transition between the masses and the individual. You have the ability to be in a group, in a large setting, and to guide people, and to also step back and to make smaller groups or one-on-one settings feel very intimate and personal in a way that you guide. So there is, again, this movement or this feeling of like big and small. We see it on a large scale, we see it on a small scale. And I don't like, the feeling is big and it's fluid, and the words are slowing down behind it, and the energy is shifting a little, but that's what we have for those runes that were coming out at this point. Now, if we move up to the rest of the runes, for the sake of getting this message delivered in somewhat of a timely fashion, we have Isa. So ice, stasis, and slowness. And this is coming at the end, at the bigger portion of the cycle, of the spiral that we were talking about in the beginning. So there is something about knowing that when you slow down, when the cycles start to be longer to complete, this is feeling like a reminder that celebrate victories in these moments as well. When things begin to feel mundane or you can't observe them as easily in your lived experience, to have practices that bring you back to celebrating what you have achieved, the foundations that you have built, what you have created, the larger picture. So that's the energy that's coming next. And the final ones that we have are Gebo. So this is about reciprocity. This is about equal give and take. It is about understanding that there is balance and there is harmony in the ways that we operate. And you have a little friend. Oh, focus. A little friend who does not want to who does not want to leave the rune, but the camera is having a hard time focusing on. So, what are you hanging out on, you little winged creature? Okay, so our little winged friend is hanging out on, oh, there we go, is hanging out on Dagas, and this is all about transitions. This is about short cycles. So this is, what were we just looking at? We were looking at Gebo, and then we went to Dagas, and this little friend did not want to leave the rune, so on the rune she stays. So it's flow of energy. And it's a reminder that it's okay to stop and take a breath and take a break and to focus in on environmental changes, such as having a little friend who wants to hang out on the rune. That this is a precious moment, and not everyone will understand that. And that's okay. That's okay. But for those who do, this moment is here for you. And these are the kind of moments that you can keep harnessing and keep working with. Now let's see. Can I put you down without disrupting you? What are we going to do? And then we have Ansus. So Ansus is about communication. Ansus is about the mental space. It is about how we communicate. And so the final one is Ehwaz, our horse energy. And with our little friend here hanging out on Dagas, and then Ansus and Ehwaz coming out, there is a feeling that those of you already who do not already connect with animal guides, this feels like an invitation for you to start investigating that if it is something that resonates with you, if it is something that feels like you want to explore. Because the very honest feeling behind what is happening in the last few minutes of this reading is simply that. The animals want to talk to you. They want to be connected to you. They want to help you as you embark on these new levels of your spiral journey. And that is what I have for this reading. At the beginning, I said I was going to flip the shell over for you guys, but at that point, I did not know we were going to have a little friend who just wanted to stay on one of your runes. So we're going to call it good. We are going to say that that is the reading for you. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank our shell, our snail that lived a beautiful life. I want to thank our little friends that have appeared in this video. And because the sun has changed, I will close out by giving you guys a new view of the location. I am wishing you well, and I look forward to seeing you at future readings. Welcome to the credits, guys. I want to thank you so much for being here with me for these readings. It was honestly very nice to get out and be able to do this again. I have been really, really longing for this, and so it is nice to finally be in a position where I did it. And so I am hoping, as always, that the messages that came through find the people that need the messages, and that the messages help them at whatever stage they're at in their development and growth. I did want to just take a moment to flip the camera around and let you know that this scarf, this piece, was with me during this reading and will be available on my Etsy shop here soon. I can give you all the details of this piece, but I will do so in the description box. If you are curious about these things, make sure to stay connected, join the newsletter, and I'll see you around again soon. And this is the space by the time I am done with all the readings. So have a little bit of energy with this daylight.